Fantastic Four issue number 1. Yeah, I thought they were going to like do would it be 49 at this point that they would be going to, because 48 was like the Axe tie-ins. I don't remember. I guess it makes sense to start over at number 1 solely because 2025 we're going to be getting a movie with the Fantastic Four. You want to have at least a couple modern trades out for people to get into. That makes sense to me. Also, coming off of the Dan Slott run, you have to kind of reinvent the wheel. I was a fan of that run. I like Dan Slott's work. It was the first kind of Fantastic Four run I read from the beginning. I didn't do reviews for all of them, but I kind of started at like 31 and worked backwards on the review scale. I liked the run enough. But I'm very excited for like just trying another run at the Fantastic Four, because they are a team that should always have a book. I think my main concern at this point is kind of like the rebranded logo and aesthetic that the cover and interior kind of gave for certain moments of the book. Just certain moments. I liked some of what we saw in this book. We'll get into it. I'm still hesitant on what the actual narrative's going to be. As far as I'm concerned, something about it just feels too postmodern. And that might be the concern I'm having with this. I understand that like the need to bring these characters maybe to like the forefront in some big way. I was looking at the way people were talking about this issue, and it is a strong first issue. It feels a lot like, you know, leading the Fantastic Four into like their maiden voyage for what their next couple of years are going to look like in a big way. I would compare it to maybe something like Cantwell's Iron Man or even Zdarsky's Daredevil. If that's what we're going for, maybe they'll be good then. I don't know if this first issue was as strong as either of those first issues, but I don't hate it. Let's get into it a bit here. So we open up this book and we're seeing this man. We repeat a couple panels at the same time, which I'm like, okay, I guess we have to. It's 1947. Nobody's coming to the Cedar Grand Motor Motel. And that's kind of cool. But one night things are different because a blind woman and a monster came to town and they were looking for a place to crash. And this story is called The Last Town on the Left, which that does invoke like the classic science fiction feel these characters need. I love that title. I also like how this book's like, we're just going to be doing a Ben and Alicia story. Don't worry about it. And I'm like, that's kind of fun. So Ryan North is the writer. I'm not too familiar with all of his works. Iban Kaleo is the artist, and I'm like, that's fun. Jesus Abortov, who did some of the colors on the previous work, or was there another book they worked on recently? A book I've been reviewing recently has had their work on it. So what's going on here? Let's talk a little about it. Ben's not used to people looking at him that way anymore. They don't give him like this really like, this guy's a monster. He's used to people being like, hey, it's the Thing, cool. And then the hotel guy gets like, is he the sheriff, or he's just like some big guy who like shows up and he sees like, holy crap, it's a monster. I got a big pistol in my pocket. I'm going to ram my truck into him. And as he's about to ram his truck into it, we see it fades away into like some weird laser light. And then we wake up and everyone's having a good time. But as they wake up, we also see that, oh, it's the same day, maybe? That's weird. And the hotel guy doesn't remember checking in a blind woman and a monster, and they're getting kind of mad. But because there was no damages to the hotel, it's like, well, that's fine. You didn't do anything bad. You broke in and nothing happened, so $3 for the night's fine. They're like, hell yeah, we'll pay for $3. I love it. I think the strongest element of this book to me is that it still feels like Ben and Alicia are a new couple who are happy to be together. I like seeing that, but they still have their history together because we do hear them talking about Joe, so Joe does exist, which is kind of nice. A kid sees Ben, he runs away down the street, Alicia's like, yeah, it sucks. But you know what? It happens. We'll get through it, you know? It's all good. We're doing good. So they start walking through the town and they realize, oh, this is very old-timey. Like, it looks really old, and it's very weird here, but for some reason, you know, Alicia's still getting cell service, and she's talking about, like, you know, founded in 1865, Cedar, Pennsylvania was a ghost town best known today for the complete disappearance of everybody overnight. And Ben's like, "Oh, cripes, are we in some weird ghost town, like weird bullshit thing? I don't want that. I just wanted a nice getaway. What's happening?" So the kid that they scared, well, his dad's the big guy from the other night. He pulls a gun out on Ben. Ben crushes it, and you just start seeing that it's later in the night, and Ben's journaling. So he's got a journal. He's starting to write things in. He doesn't really understand what's going on, but something about this town doesn't feel right. Like, okay, that's cool. So we don't really say who told Ben to journaling, just like Doc said keep journaling. That could be a therapist. It could be code for Reed or something. We'll get into all that later as the book goes on. But I'll just cut to the chase here. We're going to Groundhog Day ourselves a little bit. So that's what pretty much the rest of the book is. They're kind of like perpetually trapped on July 12th, 1947. And they have to figure out what it is. So Ben fights some guys the next day. Everything's fine. Everything, they wake up, it's normal. You know, it's fine. And then we're just gonna do that for a little bit. So how do we get out of this loop? We're gonna try a couple things. They call a bomb threat, doesn't work. They try to cancel a festival, doesn't work. Alicia shows them technology from the future, doesn't work. They're like, I'm a doctor, everything's a lie, medicine sucks, this is all bad, look. Doesn't work. Like, nothing's really working to get them to figure it out. But eventually, after a couple tries of this, Ben does manage to get the guys on his side. So he's out with like the guy that tried to shoot him, the motel manager. They start talking. Everything's kind of going great. They're having fun, having a couple drinks. Everyone's liking each other. But Alicia sees one guy in the corner. It's like, I just wish I could do it all over again. He's sad. He's alone. And then he like vrms away. And it's like, what? She's like, Ben, I heard it was Sanford. Sandy's the guy that do it. The guy that got dumped, who was with Minnie, who works at the coffee shop. He's the one that's doing all this. I think we have to help him. That's how we get this to stop. So we start to realize it is Sanford, and they start calling him Sandy. So the idea, what do we figure out to help him? They're like, can you stop doing that? Just stop doing that. Don't do anything ever again. Stop existing. Quit thinking. If you stop talking, so Ben puts like his hand around his mouth so he doesn't talk. It doesn't work. They try to scare him. It doesn't work. We see that Alicia tries talking to Minnie, like, he's just so scary and I don't know what his power's going to do anymore. It's kind of freaky. I don't know how to stop him or help him. Kind of freaky. They pick him up to try to stop him. But then they realize maybe we should get him out of the funk of breaking up with Minnie, and that'll help. So they kind of go on like a beautiful, just like, like the elder couple you talk to are like, you know what, we've had our ups and downs. We dated other people. Hell, I proposed to other people before I was with Alicia. And like, it's good to have other people in your life. It's strong, it's fun. And it just takes you to the person you want to be with for the rest of your life. And he's kind of talking about that openly in a mature way. It helps Sandy realize, well, maybe I should move on. Maybe I should find like a way to move on. He's starting to realize, I shouldn't be hung up on her. She was my whole life, but she'll be happier without me, and I could love again. I could learn to love again. I don't need her to be happy. I can do things for myself. Yeah, you're right. I could do that. So we wake up the next day. It's July 13th. He realizes he can move on. He starts having fun with some people. A couple years later, he meets a girl at a party. They go on a date a couple days later. They start to hang out a lot more. She invites him up to his place. They have fun. A couple years later, they get married. They have children. They live a good life. And it goes all the way till 2003 when he passes away. No, 2006. I'm sorry. 2006 is when he passes away. Man lived a good life. He was happy. He was married. He had fun. He had family. Very cool. He passes away, but guess what? The current day, Alicia and Ben wake up, and everything is back to normal in their room. They walk down the streets. It's the modern day. Cedar looks better than it ever did because they stopped the ghost town from happening, and they made it to like a beautiful reality. And now they just drive away. Everything's going well. We had a good night. We had a good stay. And then as they're driving away, leaving Cedar, you see that Ben brings up, there's kind of like this topic kind of going up throughout the book, like when you're not really like friendly or in a relationship with people, it's more like a cockfight where you're both trying to say things about the other person to get this, to do that, and whatever. Ben's asking if that's what he had with his other friends, like with like the relationship with the others, like with Reed and Sue and Johnny. And you see that Alicia's like, well, maybe with Johnny. But you know what? Hey, he did his best, is kind of what they get to at the end here. It's like, we know he tried, and you do get angry just thinking about it, like what happened and everything. And you're like, oh yeah, because Reed couldn't fix him is kind of what you're leading on. It's like, that's the thing. But it's like, oh, maybe not. Because then it's like, and after what Reed did to New York, well, I don't think the rest of the world will be forgiving the Fantastic Four anytime soon. And then we open up the book, and there's just a huge crater in the middle of New York City. And my first reaction was like, wasn't that like a Spider-Man thing? Didn't Spider-Man just do a thing where he blew up something? Okay, I don't like... It's kind of like a trend, I guess, right now, where it's like, the hero did something inexcusable, and we can never trust them again. But I'm like, you're gonna. See, so, this ending didn't, like, capture me the way other endings have. What I would like them to do is not explain what the fuck happened, and just have it be like, let's deal with this. Maybe it was Johnny, maybe it was Sue, maybe it... Because they say the Fantastic Four did this, right? It was also like after what Reed did to New York. Maybe it was somebody else involved with Reed's machinations, but I don't know. It's kind of fun. It didn't like invoke that much joy into me, but I'll definitely see what's going on. I did like the story. Groundhog Day with Ben and Alicia. That's fun. It's cute. The artwork's good. It was cool. I don't think there was much to really like clamor on to, but I think their dynamic is still fun and cool. Alicia continues to be a really fun character. Ben is a great gateway into this team. And I know it's like a weird thing to say because there's only 4 of them, but he's the one you're going to sympathize with, I think, the most initially. And it's the... we'll save this conversation for maybe another video, but it's kind of like the thing that worries me the most about the movies, where they're not going to give him the sad clown motif. I feel like they're going to lean too much into either like the Batista Drax stuff and just like the one-liner. I hope that's not the case, but we'll see. So, as much as I am excited for the future of the Fantastic Four, this issue was just okay to me. I don't think it blew my mind. It's fun to see these characters interact, but I don't know. As far as like a first issue goes, there's nothing really bad with it. It sets up the story well. I just wish more people were talking about this book. So we'll see what happens. So Fantastic Four issue number 1, I am going to give a 6 out of 10. Now, thank you guys for watching this review. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Have fun, stay safe. It's clobbering time, baby, so good luck.